Alrighty, welcome to Gauntlet's race mod. Today we're going to be going over another race. This is the Jun Jilar. They're sort of a very rational, logical people, kind of like the Vulcans. So here's their picture in the top right. If we go to the report, here they are. Trying to save you a little time on this video and not do the loading screen. I do a shot whenever I complete a ship set, but I've recorded this video 3 times. So no more shots for me. Alrighty, so let's hope this video goes better than the last. Alright, we're going to start with the medium hull. Real quick, this was the first medium hull, and this gives you an idea of what these people are all about. They're more advanced than the other races, so we're using this sort of organic ship set because it's a common sci-fi motif that, ooh, organic must be more advanced. Whether or not that's true, whatever, who cares? Good enough. And it's a really cool design, the engines are nice, and obviously you have this big crazy sphere in the middle acting like some sort of power source. They're channeling that energy directly through, and that's coming out the front, the maw, if you will, in through this lens and as a giant energy weapon. So that's a really cool effect. It's a really cool ship. You know, it's a gimmick, but sometimes your ship sets need gimmicks. It helps give them character and identity. So that was a lot of fun to work with. Now, the other type of style that's present in this ship set is the sort of insect-like, the beetle-like, I should say, of their smaller ships here. So let's take a look at them. We'll start with the probe. Very simple probe. Not much going on here. I wanted him to be easy and simple. He is where I came up with the engine profile, and then he's got 2 little thingy-majigs coming out in and out, but other than that, he's very, very simple ship. Then we've got our fighter. Pretty happy with how the fighter came out. He's got this sloped hull piece here, and then he's got the cockpit protruding from that, almost like he's shielded inside of it, almost like this is a shell that is protecting the rest of the ship. Again, kind of bug-like. The wings obviously make it, and these are the standard energy weapons we're using for this race, these blue porthole things. So yeah, quite happy with how this came out. Moving on to the small hulls, you have, of course, a squadron of 3 fighters. Woohoo. And I'll take a note here to say, wow, these cockpits are glowy. Ever since one of the last updates where they updated the lighting system, Stardock's glowing parts have gone off the charts. I really want them to tone it down. Now, you can invert your color scheme. There's a button for that in the ship designer. Sometimes that results in a less glowy version, but it also then becomes flat and characterless. So we don't have a nice intermediary option, and it's because they changed the lighting system. Alright, next up we have the small hulls. The small hull here is really neat. It's like a beetle. It's got a different flight pattern than usual, so it's got this bumblebee flying formation. These winglets are angled a little bit differently. Again, beetle-ish. And you've got this weapon system underslung, and between the angle he's at and the flight pattern, it really looks like he's struggling to carry this big, heavy weapon, which I like. I like that look. I think it's cool. I'm going to do a bug race, a straight-up bug race at some point, so I'll probably be borrowing a lot of the same sort of elements here. This weapon system is interesting. That's what we're going to use for missiles for these people. And why aren't I just using a missile pod of some sort? Well, because these organic ship sets look stupid with the standard weapon systems. Sorry, but they just do. For example, in the Iconian ship set, why on earth would you ever use the standard kinetic models? They're so boxy and so gribbly, they make no sense on the Iconian set, which is generally so elegant and smooth angles everywhere. So it's a real struggle to find things that you can use as weapons on the organic sets, because the standard weapon modules just don't look like they fit in at all. But this was a lot of fun to make, and I think it did come out well. That's a your piece, by the way. They have special coloring for their windows, so that was able to give something unique to this palette. Alright, then we've got, very simple, the same model again, but this time with the beam profile, the beam weapon profile. And then, if we go into our designer, I've got one more to show off here. It's very similar again, but this time he's got these really interesting components. Now this is a Thalon piece, and what's neat is it seems that the green is hard-coded. So it gave me a whole additional color to work with some of these ships. The green glowy bit should be coming out yellow or blue like every other light source in the game when you use this color scheme, but for some reason they're just coded green, which is awesome. So yeah, and that's your first turret. You'll see a bunch of turrets later. Alrighty, next up we got a small exploration hull. Different format for the hull, double engines, 3 winglets. I like it, but I hate the antenna / disc things. They're awful. I need to come up with something better. It was an experiment. Sometimes you get to try new things, and sometimes those things suck. So yeah, I'll probably just take those off and let it stand on its own without any little details. Alright, back to the medium hulls. Here's our first armed medium hull. It's the same model, but this time we've got lots of those turrets that we saw. Very insect-like. This set has 2 themes going on, the sort of smooth techno-organic and then the bug-like elements. Then we've got our missile destroyer. This fanned out sides here, and then very large turrets. Okay, and then we have our beam cruiser destroyer. Same overall model, but this time it's lost the big cannon array in the front. It's funneling all that energy and then dividing that into these 5 different weapons here. So this is kind of like the shotgun of beam destroyers here. That's the idea anyways. It's also the only model to really have these fins, and these fins are specifically for cooling. They're taking all the heat, pouring it through these extremities, which maybe is cooling it. I'm sure that's really not how physics works in space, but, you know, it's cool. It works well enough. Okay, we're going to go over to cargo hulls. Here we've got a colony ship / freighter. Trading out the big Maw energy cannon for just a dome. So yeah, elegant, simple, I like it. Here's the constructor version. Constructor version was a lot of fun. These sort of angled refinery bits coming off the side were awesome to work on. I don't know if you can notice, but the little tube at the top is both rotating on its own and moving in and out, kind of spinning out. And I added a cable on the side of that dome. The tentacle pieces in Iconian set are super handy for making cables, wires, etc. You got to be judicious with their placement, and they're not easy to use, but if you can make it work, it's a great effect. Great detail piece. Alright, then we've got our drone carrier. This is the first carrier. I was both lazy and didn't want something too standard. I was lazy in that usually I model my fighters like hanging off the sides, but, you know, in a more organized fashion. But I wanted something that was a little more organic looking, and frankly easy to do, that wouldn't take up a ton of parts. This is all one part. It's from the Altarian ship set, and I kind of imagine it like these are almost like pretty little butterflies, and these are branches off of a tree that they are hanging off of. I know, such flowery language, but yes, I kind of like the look of it. And obviously, some of the docks are empty, and these guys are flying around it. So, yep. Alright, the transport. The transport is really cool for 2 reasons. One, he's got escort fighters, and I imagine he's going into low orbit. He's the only one with these tusks, and these tusks coalesce in the middle and presumably focus all the energy from one of their power sources. It's the only model with the power source up front. It's the only cargo module with that power source, so it should be pretty obvious this is a transport. My transports need some way of bombarding a planet, and the idea of this one is it's focusing all the energy from that orb onto a rather wide area. It's not using a laser lens, so it's not super focused, but basically you can presume that the ship is irradiating a small city all on its own. And yeah, I would surrender too if I was starting to get my cities irradiated. It just didn't feel right to give these guys a big rock that they would drop on people. I felt like they were too advanced for that, so they decided to kill people with radiation instead. Very civilized. Alright, large hulls, very similar to the medium hull, but it is different. It's got a different profile. This is raised and not actually in line with the orb is raised and not in line with the cannon. So you can kind of see both, which is kind of cool. And you got your front cannons, you got some lasers, and you got lots of turrets. Okay. You've got variants. You've got a missile variant with the bigger turrets. You've got a laser variant with some really big turrets on there. Only 4 of them, but they're huge. And you've then got sort of another standard one, but with a slew of more turrets in different positions. So then you've got the real variant. This is a different hull. It's again a large. It's got this quad setup of lasers. It's got turrets in good angles. Yep, this was a fun one to make. The engine profile is a little bit different, and frankly it's just a lot meatier looking than the other ones, but it lacks that giant super cannon. And that is also the model we used for the carrier. So this carrier still has the beams, but it doesn't have any turrets. And you've got your tree branches and your little fireflies or whatever hanging off of them. You can also see that they are moving all on their own, right? I think it helps identify that they are hanging off of and not just solid parts of the ship if they are moving a little bit. So, yep, happy with that. Alright, moving on. We've got the huge hulls. We've got our standard one. This thing is kind of crazy. It's got 3 of the massive beam cannon arrays. So that's really going on. It's got this sort of triangular formation for the whole ship. It's got plenty of beam weapons. It's got turrets. It's really armed to the teeth, and most things are facing straight forward. So that is just going to be devastating. You'll see this big laser array in here. And presumably this flies through the enemy, hits them from the front. As it's going straight through, once the enemy's in the rear, it's getting hit by another laser battery and a bunch more turrets. So it's a nasty ship, but you can imagine that this thing would not want to be hit by this from the sides. It really doesn't have much ability to project firepower on its broadsides. Alright. You do have a variant of that, just uses the missile turrets instead. Otherwise it's the same. And then the huge carrier. So this one's only got 1 laser cannon of doom. And it's got 2 big hull pieces coming out on the sides. And then obviously it's carrying its little fighters, and it's got 3 floating around it. I'm not certain how I like 3 fighters floating around. It makes it very busy and kind of hard to see the main ship when you're looking out. You lose something, but it's also pretty cool. So I might do that more. We'll see. Alright, so there you go. That is the Jun Jilar, kind of your ancient tech race. Very organic, little bit of insect tones going on. I'm super happy with the color scheme, and yeah, really happy with the giant energy orb gimmick. It came out really nicely. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.